Hey everybody, and welcome back to welcome back to my Bleach Zanpakuto episode review things. Today we're looking at Jushiro Ukitake. This is of course not Jushiro Ukitake. I just kind of wanted an excuse to put Rukia up here. You see, Ukitake does not appear on any of the Tankobon covers, so next best thing is his vice captain, who is Rukia Senpai Super Kawaii Desune Kuchiki. So we're just going to be throwing her up there now. This is probably going to be the shortest episode. I say that with a little bit of hesitation because we always know when I say something is going to be the shortest of something, 20-minute minimum. But anyway, no. So his Zanpakuto is SOGYO no KOTOWARI, and Jushiro Ukitake himself, rather likable character. You know, he just kind of like chills out. I mean, he's sick most of the time, just hanging out in the barracks, you know, getting some bed rest and stuff. But whenever he does come out, seems like a good-natured fellow, right? In fact, it was actually something during the Fullbringer arc where they were trying to spin it that Ukitake might be a bad guy, and I'm thinking, oh man, this would be super impactful if we didn't already kind of do this, you know, with, remember the Soul Society arc with Aizen. We thought Aizen was in that same vein, you know, his hair and his glasses, he seemed like such a nurturing father figure to, like, Momo, and he cared about everybody, and then he turned out to be, like, the biggest dick in the Soul Society, right? And, well, he did have the biggest dick in the Soul Society, okay, but no, it's like, I was thinking, like, are you gonna do this again, Kubo, really? Because, like, that's kind of the same thing, but we find out, of course, he's not a bad guy. It was just, like, I think Ichigo said it best. Ichigo's like, you know, I know Ukitake is smarter than me. If he was going to trick me, he could have done so quite easily. But even with knowing that, I still decided to trust him. So, okay, and he is a good guy. All right, so he doesn't fight very often for that reason. He's very adept at Kido, and it was revealed in the last arc that because of his illness he had for most of his life, he's actually gotten really good at storing up vast amounts of Ryatsu in his body to basically use to, like, sustain his life force, right? You'd think that being sick and ill would, like, lessen his capacity for Ryatsu, but no, it's just like, oh, he's really sick, but yet he's still a captain. And I guess it makes sense in order to maintain that captain level Ryatsu, when you do need to fight, maybe he develops some method to just, like, store up Ryatsu as much as possible. Maybe similar to, like, in Naruto, you know, Tsunade had, like, the 100 healings technique and she could store chakra on the dot on her forehead. Maybe something along those lines. So, yeah, but, you know, when he is in the middle of a battle, sometimes his illness will flare up, and it's most similar to, like, tuberculosis. Not exactly. It is some sort of, like, lung infection or, like, a lung disease that he has, and so in the middle of a battle, he'll just start coughing up blood, and he can't fight at that point, obviously. But, you know, it doesn't usually tend to come up very often, except when, you know, Kaien died, and it didn't really come up during Fate Karakura. In that case, Wonderweiss rammed a hand right through his chest, so that's another thing there. Man, Ukitake, man, his battles, like, every time you think he's going to fight and you think we're gonna see something just happens out of nowhere and he's just knocked out, right? Like, okay, you had Metastasia and Kaien, their little fight, and then, you know, Ukitake's like, I think I need to get involved, and he's going, and he starts coughing, he's like, I can't do it. Like, alright, fine, whatever. And then during Fate Karakura, he shows up to go against Stark, and this is the first time we get to see his Zanpakuto's ability, Sogyo no Kotowari. He pulls that out, he, you know, blocks Stark's shot and shoots it back at him, using its ability, and then after that, when Fura and Wonderweiss show up, there's, like, this really brief moment where Wonderweiss just, like, uses Sonido and just appears right behind Ukitake and just rams his hand right through him. And you're sitting there and you're like, okay, Ukitake is one of the oldest, most skilled, and intelligent captains in all of the Seirei, right? It goes, like, Yamamoto as the oldest, then Unohana, and then, like, in terms of seniority, Shunsui and Ukitake, right? Like, that's like, there's, like, 3 and 4, so I'm sitting there, it's like, there's no way Ukitake is gonna get taken out of this arc like that. Where Ukitake just, I guess, wasn't paying close enough attention to the giant hole that just opened up in Karakura, and this huge beast came out, and Wonderweiss is there, and he just zip, But no, that's really what happens, and I guess it makes sense because he got hit in his lung, and that's where his illness is, but still, it makes less sense that he wouldn't be able to react to Wanderweiss, you know what I mean? And Wanderweiss, I mean, he was strong, but, you know, like, Yamamoto took him out fairly easily, which that's not much of a, you know, an accomplishment, because Yama's, like, wicked strong. Let me put it this way. Like, if it was Wanderweiss versus, like, Shunsui, I like to think Shunsui and Ukitake are on about an even keel, because they train together, they're, like, the same age. The only difference is Ukitake does have his illness, but his illness only affects him, you know, with his coughing fits. His illness does not make him, like, oh, I've all of a sudden just not paying attention to things, you know, it's not like a mental illness or something, it's just, you know, sometimes he has a coughing fit, but that wasn't the case there. So I like to think Shunsui and Ukitake are an even kill. Do you think Shunsui could have taken out Wanderweiss? Do you think Shunsui could have dodged that shot? I kind of think he could have, you know? And it was after Wanderweiss attacks Ukitake that, you know, Shunsui reacts to go cut Wanderweiss, and then Stark takes like an attack of opportunity there and blasts him in the face. But even that didn't take out Shunsui, he just kind of got back up after that. But yeah, man, that always pissed me off. So anyway, SOGYO no KOTOWARI. The general premise of the sword, in terms of, like, the release command, hinting at what the abilities are, is pretty cool. So, he has just one sword. Him and Shunsui's are the only dual-bladed Zanpakuto, as Yamamoto called him, but then you have, like, Kazashini, which is Shuhei Zanpakuto, and it's also kind of dual blades. It's connected by a chain, but kind of so is SOGYO no KOTOWARI. So, really, the only, like, true dual-bladed sword is Shunsui's, because he has, like, two swords to begin with, and both of them release at once. The situation with Ukitake is he only has one sword, but when he releases his Shikai, that one sword divides into two, and he grabs both blades, and then he fights with that. And his release command, in the English dub, it was, "All waves, rise now and become my shield. Lightning, strike now and become my blades. SOGYO no KOTOWARI." And then it just divides, and you got two blades, rather interesting shape. I was trying to find something similar. I thought they were very similar, like a Chinese hook sword. Not exactly, but you can see, like, there is, like, a hook on not the top of the blade of SOGYO no KOTOWARI, but near, like, the hilt, where it kind of, like, juts out and does this. Very similar to Wabisuke, which is Izuru's Zanpakuto. So kind of like that, where the blade also, the sharpened edge keels inward rather than outward. And then those swords are about the same height and shape. You know, unlike Shunsui's Katen Kyokatsu, where the blades are, like, a little bit different in size, even after they go into their Shikai, right? So his swords are, like, the same, and then there's this red cord that goes between the blades, connecting them, and it's wide enough so you can, like, fight with them, but they can't, like, you can't separate them for long. And then there are 5 of these, like, silver talismans strung up along the red cord, connecting them. Okay, so interesting design. We don't really get to see what it can do when he and Shunsui fight against Yamamoto, because most of that fight is off camera. We then cut over to Fake Karakura when Stark is firing one of his Sero blasts at Shunsui. Ukitake jumps in and uses SOGYO no KOTOWARI's ability. The one sword, I believe it's the right sword, takes in the enemy's attack. Then, the attack travels through the sword, through that red cord, and hits each of those talismans. And each of those talismans, what they do is they alter the speed and the attack and the direction and the pressure and of the enemy attack, changing it just a little enough so it's not the exact same attack. It's not like it's a mirror. It's not like he's taking the attack and bouncing it right back with the same level of power and speed. He's kind of like tweaking the settings a little bit, just to make it a little bit more unpredictable. And then he takes the left sword, and the attack fires off that way, back at the opponent. And this whole process happens, like, within the span of, like, less than a second. So it happens so fast that when Stark fired the Sero and Ukitake fired it right back, he thought, like, holy shit, can this captain use Seros? I remember that when that happened in that chapter, because that was, like, the cliffhanger of that chapter. Ukitake blocks it. And it's like, holy crap, is Ukitake, like, part hollow? And there there are theories out there, like that's maybe because of his sickness, like he was a failed Visored experiment or something, and he's like, oh, maybe he has a hollow mask and that's the reason he's sick, and oh my god. No, it turns out it's just he can basically just bounce attacks back, just modifying their stats a little bit. And that was kind of disappointing, though, I'll be honest with you, and that's all we ever found out that SOGYO no KOTOWARI could do, because that is the only time he uses his Zanpakuto in a straight-up fight that we get to see. Because after that, it was all like filler, like the Regai arc and everything, which I believe he does break out again in the Regai arc, which was nice to see it one more time, at least in the anime. And then during the last arc, though, he spends most of his time performing the kamekake, the gods thing, you know, with the you know, right hand of the Soul King, where he takes the kamekake into himself, and then he tries to save the Soul King, and then Yuha just kind of rips it out of him, and then he dies. Yep. That's like going back to what I said about kind of a lame kind of ending. It's just like, oh man, Ukitake's at Fake Kurakura. He's finally shown off his Zanpakuto. He's gonna do this. And then he gets ramrodded by freaking Wanderweiss, gets dropped, doesn't do anything the rest of that arc. And then the last arc, it's like, all right, he's back and he's using the Kamekake and that's really cool. Maybe we'll get to see him fight in the soul. And Yuha just rips it out of him and he just dies. Just that. He just hits the ground and just... So, you know, what's even more depressing is how much time did Ukitake really buy everybody? Like, did Ukitake even really... you could actually argue he made it worse, because the whole idea was Yuha's gonna kill the Soul King, so Ukitake is gonna go and confer with the Mimihage, which the Mimihage is like a deity that exists in the depths of the Rukongai. What happened was with Ukitake is when he was a little kid, he had this lung illness. Yeah, it sucks. You die and then you go to heaven. Not really heaven, it's the Soul Society. It's like the Deva realm, or the Ashura. No, not the Ashura realm. It's the Deva realm. The Deva realm in Buddhism. So you go there and you still end up getting sick. So that kind of sucks. But anyway, you go there and his parents, like, take him to this Mimihage statue, and it endows him with part of its power in exchange for, like, part of his soul, you know, and stuff like that, kind of like an even exchange sort of deal. And in exchange for that, Ukitake can live. His hair turned white, and he still has the coughing fits, but he would have been dead when he was a little kid if it wasn't for the interference of that. So, the idea is, I'm gonna use the power of the Mimihage inside of me to, you know, stabilize the Soul King that Yuha just stabbed. Well, he, you know, sends it up to the Soul Palace, and it manages to contain the Soul King very briefly, and the shaking kind of stops, and everything kind of is stabilized for the moment, but that only lasts, like, 20, 30 minutes. I hesitate to even say it lasted an hour, because it didn't take very long for Yuha just to fight through Yoroichi and Ichigo, grab the Mimihage, just rip it off the Soul King, and absorb its power, making him even stronger, and then that ripped it out of Ukitake, and he's like... and he just dies. And that's it! That's it! That's the end of his character right there! He's just like, I'm gonna try to save the Soul King. It lasted... Okay, if anything, he bought them, like, 30 minutes maximum of time, which didn't even really change anything, except for making Yuha stronger. Because... he ended up stabbing the Soul King anyway, and changing the Soul Palace into the Varvelt anyway, and the whole reason was we're gonna buy them time to open up the gate, you know, Urahara's group, to get to the Soul Palace, but it ends up getting destroyed anyway when he uses the Mimihage to attack, and then Aizen shows up, and then they have to end up, you know, it ends up not working anyway, so it's like... damn, Ukitake, you deserve better. You did. But anyway, let's talk about his release command, which seems to hint at other abilities of his Zanpakuto that we just probably never got to see. It implies that his Zanpakuto is a water and lightning type sword. Waves, rise now and become my shield. Lightning, strike now and become my blade. So that seemed to imply, like, one of the swords, you know, could shoot, like lightning as attacks, and just, like, maybe charging up like a lightning sword and clashing with people, or shoot bolts of lightning, or summon, like, a lightning spear, and the other sword, like, you know, you swing it or something, and the arc of that swing summons, like, a water wall, like, to block attacks, or you can combine them together, like, lightning and water together, you know, douse your opponent in water, and then stab the ground, and just, you know, like, that kind of stuff. that seems really cool. And it actually fits because Ukitake's lieutenant before Rukia was Kaien Shiba, and Kaien's Zanpakuto was Nejibana, which was a water-type Zanpakuto. It turned into, like, that trident. So that would be really cool, that he had, like, an electric and water-type Zanpakuto, and his lieutenant had a water one. Even Rukia controls cold and ice, so that still fits. I don't know. I mean, it seems like that's what Kubo was going for, because why else would his release command? The release commands, like, they don't always have an indication of what the ability is. Sometimes they do, like with Wabisuke. Going back to Izuru, it's raise your head, Wabisuke. The whole point of it is, like, raise your head, because Wabisuke means, like, the penitent one. That makes sense. Others are just kind of like, roar, Zabimaru, or howl, Heineko. Not really, like, it indicates what you're gonna do with it. But usually when it comes to the longer ones, like in the case with Ukitake and Shunsui, who have the really long ones, like Ukitake's is, pretty long. It's like 2 sentences, like 2 verses, and Shunsui is like an entire poem he's basically reciting, like flower wind rage and flower god roar, heavenly wind rage and heavenly demon sneer, kind of like indicating, like, it's poetry, it's maybe like a kabuki, like a theater kind of setting, that at least gives some belief there. But no, it's like, I mean, that'd be like saying, I have a power. In order to activate this power, I have to say a command phrase or a sentence, and this is my sentence. I use the fiery powers of the sun to ignite my body in a burning passion. My ability is to control Earth. It's like, what? It's just like, oh no, no, even better. I ignite my body with a burning passion. My ability is to take your ability and throw it back at you. Like, no, that could be, that, you know what you could have done? Here's what you could have done, and I'm thinking maybe Kubo just didn't want to, like, maybe he's like, okay, I don't know if I could have a full battle with Ukitake and Karakura, so what I'll do is I'll just give him this ability and then have him eliminated almost immediately, so that way I don't have to worry about expanding on his Zanpakuto. I don't know. But you could easily have wrote it in where that bounce back ability, that could have been a Kido. That could have been like a really high level, like, Bakudo that allows you to absorb an enemy attack and shoot it back. Because we've seen the Shinigami combine Kido with their Zanpakutos before. We've seen that. Shuhei actually does that with his fight with Ion. He uses that Hado 11 Suzui Raisen. He uses, like, electricity and channels it into his Kazeshini. So you could have had, like, because Ukitake, the stats we get for Ukitake, his Kido skills are like 100. He's, like, maxed out on Kido. So he could have done a Kido spell for that. That would have made sense. And it would have still had the Zanpakuto's ability. And we also never see his bankai, never even hinted at, never even, once again, I think it's something similar with other Shinigami captains where their bankais are not even really referenced during, light novels or supplemental material. Once again, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think it's like, yeah, we never get to find out about it one way or the other, and he's dead now, and he's confirmed to be dead because Shunsui is at his grave at the very end of the series. It's like the 10 years in the future, and Shunsui's hanging out next to Ukitake's grave, and I'm just like, well, that's a crappy ending for the character. It really genuinely is. Considering, like, during the Soul Society arc, he was the last captain to be properly introduced. He was like, ooh, the mysterious 13th captain. Who's that gonna be? And, he doesn't do a ridiculous amount during the Soul Society arc, but he kind of, like, confronts Byakuya, and he helps out Shunsui destroy the Sokyoku, and he fights Yama, even if it was off-screen, and it seems like he had a little bit more of a screen presence. He deserved, like, he's gonna be, a little bit more about him is gonna be revealed. Kubo kinda did that during the Fullbringer arc, but not really. Now, his Zanpakuto in the filler arc, the Zanpakuto filler arc, takes the appearance of these 2 little kids wearing, like, priest outfits, and they're rather adorable, and they like to just, like, play around with Ukitake and just, like, basically, like, they're his little brothers or whatever, just pulling on his face and say, come on, let's play! And they have the ability to summon these fans that can kind of spin and attack, and maybe you could say, oh, that's because of the lightning abilities, like, it's charging, and they can also summon, like, spikes and things. If they were, like, water spikes or something, that would be cool. But mostly they're just, we don't get to see all them, in action all too much. Whenever we do see them, they just summon the fans and they spin. And the fans each have fish on them, because SOGYO no KOTOWARI means, like, the truth of Pisces. Pisces being the twin fish in the zodiac, sometimes translated as the truth of the twin fish, just literally. So yeah, I mean, once again, there's a fish reference, there's water reference. Water should definitely be involved here, unless you're gonna take it more into, like, the metaphorical way where it's like, my ability is to absorb your attacks and redirect the flow of the attack and redirect it back at you. Maybe like the flow, and like, so it's like, you know, the attack is flowing like water, but striking like lightning. If you want to go metaphorical, fine, but this is manga. It would still be cool to see him whip out a lightning sword, you know? Okay, I play a Bleach game called Bleach Dark Souls, which is, for my money, the best fighting game in Bleach ever. It was on the DS, and in that game, Ukitake's abilities are actually really cool. They're like trap-based. So what you can do is you can lay down like little pools of water, and if your opponent gets close to it, like little spikes come up from the water and attack them. You can create these little orbs of like electricity energy and then send them out, and the orbs don't do damage, but he can like run an attack through them and the orbs will like redirect it. So imagine that. You can see that in fighting in Bleach. I could totally see that, where Ukitake's like summoning these little orbs of like lightning energy, and they're kind of just all over the battlefield, kind of like Piccolo's like Hell Zone grenade from DBZ, and then he like fires an energy shot into one of them, and it like bing, 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 and it's like striking the opponents from like 18 different directions. That would be cool. You could do stuff like that. So it's a lot of times like even the video games, like the video games don't even know what their abilities are, so they just kind of have to just spitball it and hope they get lucky. But yeah, you could have done that. That would have been cool. Just in general, he deserved better. So, anyway, yeah, that's pretty much all we got from Ukitake's abilities and his Zanpakuto. It looked cool, had an interesting premise for an ability before we really found out what it was. And I mean, even though it wasn't like a direct, like, reversal attack, like, I take an attack and I reverse it right back at you, Kirby, right back at ya! There's also an added bonus with the changing with the talismans, but even then, it was kind of like, oh, okay, I mean... So you can basically, this isn't just bouncing back your enemy's attack, this is bouncing back your enemy's attack with style, you know? It just adds a little bit more of a flair to it, but you could send it back to them slightly faster or slightly stronger, but nothing like crazy ridiculous, right? Oh well, what was your favorite thing about Ukitake's character before he got his soul ripped out by Yuha? Comment below! But in the meantime, we only have 4 guys left. And we got, here are our contenders. We got Captain of Squad 12, Mayuri Kurotsuchi, which, you know, at this point, considering he lasted this long, I kind of want him to just be last, because he's my favorite captain. And then we have, Kaname Tozen, Captain of Squad 9, with his Suzumushi. And then we have... Captain of Squad 10, Hitsugaya, with Hyorin Maru. I don't know if you guys know about Hyorin Maru. It's so very rarely used in the series. And then we have Senbon Zakura Kageyoshi by Byakuya. So, all pretty good captains. I mean, maybe Kaname Tozen you're not a big fan of, but, you know, all the other ones are pretty fan favorites. Kubo, I believe, like, his favorite captain is Mayuri, because he, like, cosplayed as him before. So, why didn't we get a whole movie about freaking Mayuri? We got a whole movie about freaking Toshiro, Diamond Dust Rebellion, which is my least favorite Bleach movie, but we couldn't get a whole movie about Mayuri? No, that would have been rated R. Alright, ready? Here we go! All that shit talk about Hyorin it's gonna be that, isn't it? No, it's gonna be Ashisoki Jizo. Okay, so, next time, we're gonna be handling my favorite captain, Mayuri Kurotsuchi! Oh, I'm gonna have to get dressed up for that one. I'm gonna have to buy a lot of face paint, a golden pharaoh's headdress, a purple, like, neck pillow. This might take a while. This might need a few weeks of preparation to get this really the way I need it to be. We need to be at least Kubo levels of dedicated with this cosplay. But next time is going to be Ashisoki Jizo, and this is a fun one. So yeah, this is actually the first bankai ever revealed in the series, so... Okay, well, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great night. Tekking, signing out.